Alright, I believe we've returned. Welcome back to Comcast Percent, where we take a look at Comcast and decide why they're not doing so well. But anyways, I'm ready to start. So I'll go ahead and count it down. Let's see here. Okay, yep, we're just going to go ahead and count down. 3, 2, 1, go. So, again, this is Tide the Tasmanian Tiger Any Percent, the console version of the game. The PC remaster has been fully released on Steam, so if you do enjoy this game, which I very much do, I would highly recommend buying it. And they have speedrun leaderboards there, which are pretty spicy, but you know, don't take my word for it. Take some pretty decent reviews. It's not a revolutionary game, but that's beside the point. Anyways, wow, deja vu, we're back here again. That's a Thunder Egg. We collect 17 of them per hub. There's 4 hubs, 3 of them which we collect Thunder Eggs, and then the final boss hub. So we got a few options. We can jump, we can throw our boomerang, and we can bite. Biting, it has a little pause after you do it, so it's not viable for moving. So we just kind of run around at the speed of sound, but not really. You're gonna see that the bites be chained right there, just to kind of get up to this Thunder Egg. This is a tutorial level, so the objective here is to just obtain the second boomerang.
Hi, may I read a quick donation?
Oh yeah, go ahead.
We have $6 from Splato, who says, "How could anyone pass up the 469.69? Also, Pokemon Snap, please."
Alright, well you saw me do there. I kind of jumped on top of what are the outhouses, which are the respawn points. You just do that to kind of skip a small little cutscene with Julius about the golden cogs, which no need to collect them. So we're approaching the second boomerang. So with this, you can glide now, and with the glide, there's something that I just did there called an extended glide. If you press the glide button at the peak of your jump, you get a little bit of extra height, which allows you to get to some areas you're not really supposed to get to. So it's just kind of useful for some skips in the game. Okay, got that button. So in all but one of the levels, I'll be collecting all 5 of the abilities, which you just saw me collect the 5th one there. After you collect the 5th one, you get a Thunder Egg, so for all the levels except for the next one, it's just an easy Thunder Egg to grab. Those things that you see at the box, little eggs, those are opals. You need to collect 300 of them in a level to get a Thunder Egg, but they're real slow to get, so there's no point in getting them. Except in 100%, which is not something I feel like running due to a very specific level. And then each level also has a race. The race is activated once you finish the story mission of each level. So for this level, it was the getting the second boomerang. Each level obviously has a different story objective, so we won't do all of them, but we will do most of them. You also may have noticed I started the game without saving. That's just for some small time save at the end of each level. We press the start button and then go to exit level to exit the level quickly, and if you start with saving, you have to wait for the autosave function to stop doing its thing before you can actually press the start menu. Also, we're about to be approaching the first major skip of the game, which is just a simple little walking over something you shouldn't be able to walk over. Should be obvious once we get to it. So all I'm doing is I'm just holding up and left while going over that to completely skip the first water slide of this level. That saves about 1.5 to 2 minutes, and that skips the reason why we don't collect all 5 bilbies in this level. Because there were some that are located further up towards the waterfall, so it would make it slower to go collect those and then run back to get that, to do that skip. So these bats are one of 2 sound cue functions of the game. The moment these bats stop making noise is the point where I can hit them again, and I just need to get them out of this little cave, so I'll be waiting for them to stop making noise for me to throw a boomerang at them. And unfortunately, this is the only water slide you cannot skip in the game. There's 4 of them, you skip 3 of them. So, when going down water slides, if you were to be able to do frame-perfect inputs, constantly jumping would be fastest. However, with a 60 FPS game, that's a little difficult to do. So, it's just as fast to duck than it would be to constantly jump without frame-perfect inputs. And I also want to do my best not to hit any of these obstacles because they slow you down. So right up here is the turkey. If anyone's played this game as a kid, you know how frustrating that turkey is. So that may have made you angry seeing me get that simply, but that took a lot of practice to get down perfectly. Because it can go one of 2 ways from there. That was the slow way, but I got it decently fast. This level up here is Shipwrecks, which is where we learn how to swim. And when we learn to swim, we get aqua rings, which are kind of pointless since you can't use them above water, but it's better than having no boomerangs under the water. Also, you're going to see a running kind of gag in this game where parents tend to lose exactly 8 of their children, like this guy. He lost 8 of his seahorse children in the ocean, so we have to go collect them. Yay! Also right here, what you saw me do was you saw me stand on a little piece of exposed area, which allowed me to be able to jump up here without having to swim around completely. So by doing that, it just saves a decent amount of time. This is one of the kind of mini minor skips of the game, boat skip. I'm going to position myself next to where the button is in the boat, throw the boomerangs, and they'll clip through the boat while trying to get back to me and hit the button. Saves a decent 10 seconds, so... It's deceptively difficult, because unless you know where you need to position yourself, you kind of have a little bit of difficulty getting it. Another use of the extended glide was kind of shown right there, where you're able to get up those without having to ledge grab like the game developers intended you to. Also, shout out to Prone Studios. They're great people. They gave us a little recognition when I did my run at Summer Games on Quick 2016. So it was really awesome to see them be so invested into it. Also, in case you couldn't tell, I'm not getting through this the intentional way. The first 2 of 3 quicksand pits, you can kind of go around the edges without having to use the coconuts. However, it's impossible for the 3rd one, so you have to use coconuts to get to there. And something I learned the other day on the PC version of the game, if you press the jump button, the frame you land on the quicksand, you actually jump at normal height, so it saves a few seconds on the second one. Also, I have never hit that eel before. I have no idea why I did there, but that's cool. So, I believe it's the GameCube version of this game only, this conversation I'm about to skip right there. For some reason, it's in French on the GameCube version on some copies. Don't really know why, but okay. Also, I can stand right here and hit that button instead of standing on the metallic platform they want you to do, so saves a ledge grab and some time. Also, this game really likes to obey the laws of physics, as you'll see in a second. You can just kind of walk up the side of a mountain casually. So, you may think I bash on the game for its physics or whatever. I love the game, so just trying to poke a little bit of fun. So the rest of this level is basically getting up to the peak of this mountain, talking to the guy at the beginning of the level's wife, and then collecting the rest of those kids. Fortunately, there's a mushroom circle here which teleports you back to wherever the original one is. For most levels, it's the very start of the level. However, for a few, it's a little different. Specifically, the ones I can think of being Liar Liar, Liar Liar Pants on Fire, and Walk in the Park. You gotta go for this. Also, these barracudas that you just saw me hit there have a hilariously large hitbox. So it's either move about 20 feet to the left of it or kill it. I prefer to kill it because it's faster. But the hitbox is so large, you're going to run into it if you're not careful, and it'll damage you and slow you down.
Thank you.
Alright, so we're approaching the first of 4 main bosses. This is the Bull, and if you've never seen this boss before, I recommend you turn your volume down now for a reason. You'll see. Yeah, the Bull makes some pretty ridiculous noises, so if you're not careful, you're going to be startled by them. So they're funny to listen to, but come on. So there's a total of, let me think, first this way, like 3 or 4 phases. The first 2 pillars that he hits, he doesn't really do much. Then after hitting the second one, he starts stomping the ground like this. After the third one, he starts throwing rocks in the air, and then the fourth one causes them to throw an extra rock in the air. If I'm lucky, I'll get a small little... I didn't get it. There's no idea what causes it, but there's a chance that he skips the charging animation and just starts running after you, which saves about half a second to a second. Don't really know why. And he can do a possibility of 2 times, and it's only after he throws the rocks. He didn't do it either time, so no free time save. That's fine though. So with that, we've completed the first hub, and we have collected our first elemental boomerang, the Flamerang. We collect a total of 3 of them. I'll go more in depth into them once we collect them, but this one allows you to burn different icicles or ice things. It allows you to burn cobwebs, and burns, instead of immediately destroying boxes or the picnic baskets, it causes them to burn beforehand. So it's also the highest damage per throw of any elemental boomerang. So I'll be keeping it out just in case I need to get out of sticky situations when I get trapped between some enemies. It's the most useful one to have for that reason. You're also going to notice the opals and the thunder eggs change color. They're color-coded depending on what elemental boomerang you're going to get from the hub. Also, that skips the beginning like 1% of the level there and makes it so you don't have to swim for a little bit. And it allows you to kind of skip conversation. This level also introduces these little blow dart blizzard things. They're blow darts. That red thing doesn't damage you, but it stuns you, so you kind of want to avoid them. This level also introduces the first mini-boss, which I'll go over once we get there, but until then we have an auto-scroller and some collection. I almost fell there. That would have been bad. Also, this glide as a kid was deceptively difficult. I cannot tell you how many times I've failed that glide miserably. So this is Dennis, I think he's a tree frog or something. He's afraid of the dark and lives here, so our objective is to guide him home by lighting these barrels. However, he doesn't take damage and he goes really slow, so we don't have to worry about the enemies, and we can go off and collect something right here since he moves so slow. Because of that, it's not really an escort mission. He's a auto scroller in a sense. Whoops. Luckily, that doesn't lose any time because of how slow he moves. So I'm just gonna wait for him to get to a certain point, and I'm gonna keep moving so I don't lose any time. This bat right here is really hard to kill. Some people call him the Kappa bat because of how frustrating he is. Not that one, but one that's kind of in a different area that you'll see in a second. But unless he gets caught on something, you can't kill him, or if you bite him, so it's not really worth anything. It's just kind of funny if you do kill him. So I'm gonna be waiting right here. Thunder eggs, collecting thunder eggs in this game are weird. There are some thunder eggs which, no matter how far you go from the area, from the final spot, it teleports you back. And for some of them, that was the major cap that he almost messed me up, but I got it. It teleports you back, but for this one, it keeps you in the spot where you were as long as you're close enough. So I go to that little set of opals, and then I'm really close to the next thunder egg. It just saves a few seconds. So this is by far my favorite thunder egg of the game. You just kind of do this really high dive, and you just go through all these rings. It's really relaxing because it gives you a few seconds, since you can do it without moving if you get a good ring pattern. So you just get a few seconds breather. We're now approaching the first mini-boss, which is Dennis's cousin, Nettie the Bully or something like that. Gotta make him charge at you and then hit him 4 times. First 3 times you hit him in the rear end, and then the 4th time you hit his target on his chest. can technically do all the mini-bosses in the game, so... Gonna do a little Thunder Egg Collection animation skip right there. By biting into his hitbox as right before his conversation comes up, he'll push you out while you're trying to do the Thunder Egg animation, that animation right there, which will make it so you can move while you've already collected the Thunder Egg. It saves 2 seconds. Also, if you remembered the first turkey, here's the second set of turkeys, the much more frustrating ones. There's 2 of them, and you have to get them before the other one respawns. That's a really fast way of doing it. It's risky, but it's fast. Anyways, this is Outback Safari. If you remember the bull, I think you're going to enjoy this level. This is the only level where we're not running around as Ty. We're running around as Ty on the bull, which has a mom tattoo on his leg, or whatever you want to call that. His leg bicep, sure. Also, these are emus. Single-handedly the most frustrating Thunder Egg of this game, just because of their random pathing. Right now it's gone good, but I wouldn't really count on that. A decent time for this, finishing this, would be 8:55. I always aim to finish it by the 9-minute mark. The best I've ever gotten was at 9:18, and I haven't gotten anywhere close since.
May I read a quick donation?
Yeah, go ahead.
We have $10 from the Boix. I've never heard of that person before, but he says, let's hit that Legend of Zelda goal. Thank you, Boix, for your donation.
Never heard of that guy before. Also, that's going to kind of mess up the cycle I go for. I've never missed that first one like that. But what you're supposed to do, or what I try to do, is I hit the first one, and then I can skip these next 3 because of the way the spawning works. The way these motorcycle frills spawn is based off of the person you're guiding's position, which is also based off of your position. The game wouldn't expect you to go further ahead than where she actually is, so it doesn't spawn them if you're too far ahead. So you can technically despawn all but the first one, but it's really risky to do so, because if any of them hit her, it causes her a little bit of a stun animation. So I just do the first one, skip the next 3, and then get the rest of them because they're easy. Also, I should probably go more into the bull. When you're moving around with the bull, you don't use your normal movement. You use the lasso ring, which has a little rope attached to it. And you can only throw one at a time because you only have one. The bull has a charge movement, which is kind of like the bite. However, he can't turn while in that motion. So I use it when on straightaways, but I don't use it when going around turns because of the fact that I can't turn with it. So you gotta be kind of conservative with how you're using them. Also, that's the last motorcycle frill, so now for the rest of this, I will just push her because it's marginally faster by milliseconds, and it's also kind of fun to do. Because you can push her into some really weird positions, kind of to the left of that outhouse right there, but I'm not going to risk it. You're going to see me be a little careful around the tornadoes because obviously they draw you in, so you kind of want to go fast. I kind of go really far to the side. This is also the level that makes it so I don't want to run 100%, because in each level you got to collect 300 opals. However, in most levels the boxes contain 4 to 5 opals each. This level, all the opals have their own box, and each box is colored brown like the landscape. So if you miss one box, have fun trying to find it again. Also, a really interesting strat with the PC remaster of this game, on this level only, because of the bull, We do a little special movement on the PC where we use the controller and the keyboard. If you strafe using the keyboard and looking to the side kind of like this, you go about 125% faster because of the way directional movement is in the PC port. So it's kind of difficult having one hand on the keyboard and one hand on the controller, but once you get a little used to it, it becomes a lot easier and it's so much faster. It's kind of funny to see how much faster you go. So up here we're going to be approaching the final Thunder Egg of this level, which is going to be this Toxic Waste Thunder Egg. Basically what I have to do is I have to dent all 6 of these barrels 3 times each and prevent the frill lizards from repairing them. And if I do it correctly, I can dent all 6 of them without having to kill any of the lizards like that. Just gotta go from top left to top right, go down to the bottom right, and then bottom left. So we're entering the final of the 3 levels in this hub, Snow Worries, which contains the most unforgiving skip of the game with Mill Skip, due to the fact that if you fail it a certain way, you waste anywhere from 30 seconds to a minute. So I've put well over 150 hours into making sure I don't fail it that certain way, and while doing it fast. Also, if you remember me in Shipwrecks mentioning how parents have a tendency of losing their kids, this woman lost her, the kids she's looking after. I don't remember if they're her kids or not, because I haven't played this game casually in years, but she lost them in an avalanche, so we just gotta go around finding them.
Thanks, mate.
Also, we're introduced to a new enemy, the Blue-tongued Lizard. They're the main reason we keep the Flamerings out. They, with all the other elemental rings, they take 2 hits. However, the Flamerang kills them in 1. So if you ever get stuck with them, it's good to have the Flamerings out. Also, wait, no, the Kangaroos were actually in the first level, so no need to mention them.
Oh, you're a ripper, mate.
So this is the 8th kid. Now we just kind of go on to the rest of the level.
Hi.
Also has one of the most expertly hidden bilbies in the game. If you're new to this game when speedrunning it, you will most likely miss this bilby several times before memorizing that it's here. You kind of keep going forward, but it's just kind of hidden right here, so... Also, Wombat's on a snowboard, which hit me. Didn't expect that. That's fine. That allows me to kind of explain the water a little bit as well. When diving underwater and then resurfacing, you regain all of your health. So even taking that damage, that doesn't really affect me that much. Also, there's a giant lobster under the water that we have to guide back into his cave. If we hit him too fast while he's stuck, he'll get angry with us. So we just kind of want to make sure that doesn't happen. Alright, that should be good. Let's kind of move up a little bit. Now we just gotta hit all 5 of these. So now we're up to the mill area, which is on this giant mountain. And basically the mill skip is on the very top of it, and there's a point where you can very easily fall off. So hopefully that doesn't happen, however that hasn't happened to me in a very long time in a run. We're actually approaching one of the very, very few sections of RNG in this game. The only ones I can think of were the emus, and one that's going to be in a later level called Frill Boats. Basically, there's a music puzzle. I have to hit red, orange, yellow, green, blue. and the order that they're in is completely random. So, at least that's unfortunate. That's why I don't really like it like this, but it's fine. Okay, a little slow because of me hitting it right there, but had a decent pattern. That was my fault for not accounting for that. So now we're just going to finish off the level up until mill skip. Floating ice also, disobeying the laws of gravity, just like in a normal video game. Oh, ooh, that was almost disastrous. I nearly fell off. Anyways, gonna kind of walk down some of these slopes because it's easier and faster than running around the mountain like they intend us to. So, while we're heading up to mill skip, I guess I'll explain it a little bit. There's a total of 3 mills on this mountain. You're supposed to hit all 3 of the buttons inside of the mills by going on these many different wooden walkways that you saw kind of above me. However, there is a way that you can get to the Thunder Egg by skipping all but this mill. So, first try. That is really good. That took me a very long time to get down consistently, so getting it like that in a marathon setting is incredible. So that ends off Hub 2, and we will now approach the second boss, Crikey. Crikey is a shark that the main villain of the game, which we really don't care about the story, but his name is Boss Cass, attached some metallic parts to him. You gotta break those metallic parts off and set them free into the ocean, using these oxygen tanks and our flaming boomerangs. So we just kind of wait until we see him approaching it. And by hitting it right before they go into his mouth, they damage him. What you're supposed to do is wait for him to start biting onto them, and then it'll start spinning around for you to kind of wait for him to turn to you, and then you hit it while it's in its mouth. However, it's just a lot faster this way. Most of these bosses are simple, except for the final 2, which are pretty interesting in their own rights. I'll explain them more once we get there. There we go. Okay, that took a second. Alright, so now we've obtained our second elemental ring, that being the Frosty Ring. This one allows you to break apart burning logs, allows you to create platforms on ice, and it allows you to freeze enemies. That's a little, those are all kind of important later on, but for now we're approaching probably the most important skip of the game, Liar Skip, which I'm going to be staying completely silent for until after I get it, and then I'll explain what happened. Also, after this little cutscene, that's Lenny the Lyrebird. Not only is he a lyrebird, he is a lyrebird in the fact that he lies. But anyways, let's go ahead and start this skip.
Come on, jump in here! Come on, jump in here!
Second try, not bad. Okay, so what I did was, I have skipped from the beginning of the level to the very end of the level. And the reason that's important is because this level is centered around backtracking, and that eliminates any need for backtracking. So to perform the skip, what I had to do was I had to bite on top of Winnie's head on a specific portion, which wedges me between the wall and standing on its head. And then by aiming in and looking at those two logs that were there, it allowed me to jump in a gap and fall to the end of the level, which is conveniently placed right below the beginning. This is the second mini-boss of the game, which is your factory-made biological twin, made by the main villain of the game. And we're just going to stun lock them by using the Frosty Ring and the Flamerang. By freezing them and then using the Flamerang to destroy that. Also, by backtracking, you have no idea what these levers are supposed to do, but they're shiny and red, so we're going to hit them anyways. Because why not? Red's my favorite color, so might as well. You're supposed to stay on the platform to hit all the levers, but you can stand right here and jump and hit the final two. And by pressing all the levers, you kind of turn this desert-like area in here, and made it back into a rainforest. Also, small little skip using auto-targeting. Basically, by auto-targeting those shield minion things down there, you're able to bite up on a small little ledge and get up here. So now, here's where the backtracking thing kind of becomes important. This is one of the few levels where the mushrooms do not bring you back to the very start. Instead, they bring you back to the top of this water slide, which helps even further when it comes to backtracking. This is also the only level where when I exit it, I will actually re-enter it. Just a small little tidbit. Because it's faster to exit and re-enter the level to get to the race than it is to run back to it. But that's only in the Xbox versions, Xbox and PC versions. I probably should have explained that earlier. I run this on an Xbox 360 with an Xbox version. Also, I don't know why that took so long. Also, that's a little tendency of the game. Areas that you can randomly ledge grab for no reason, because why not? But yeah, the Xbox console version has the fastest load times of all the console versions, so I didn't start seriously running this game until I actually got my hands on an Xbox copy of the game. Oh, almost got that ledge grab. It's fine. So, by pressing that button earlier in that spider cave, it prevented me from having to go to the button and then backtracking to get to that platform, which I just grabbed onto, which is the reason why we kind of do that. Also, now we will be exiting and re-entering the level to get to the race. This is also the only other water slide we go down, not to get through the level, but just to do the race. There's a little stick right here as well. If I don't jump over it, I have a chance of getting stuck on it and wasting several seconds. Alright. Now with that nightmare down, we go to the easiest of the 3 levels in this hub, which is still pretty difficult beyond the Black Stump, which is one of my 2 favorite levels of the game, tied with Bridge on the River Tide, along with the Dennis the Tree Frog. This also has, in my opinion, the best looking skip of the game, which is right up here. It's the only one that abuses mobs in this way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to abuse these frills hitboxes to stand on top of them and be able to get this kid a lot earlier than intended.
Oh, jeez.
Also, that happened. But basically what I did there, the hitboxes on those frills are sloped, so if you try standing on them, you're not going to be able to. However, if you put 2 or 3 of them next to each other, like that, you're able to stand on top of them and do that. You're supposed to get to this mushroom flower, but, yeah, that's kind of the point. Also, I noticed someone mention skipping all but one of the water slides. That is true. However, when I say that, I mean as to get through levels, not to do races, because that doesn't waste any time compared to doing the skip. So technically it's 2, but also technically it's 1. It's kind of weird.
Oh, you're a ripper, mate.
But anyways, this is going to be the only time we death warp in the game as well. I gotta keep an eye on my health, make sure I have enough coming up through here. So, okay, I am set for the death warp as long as I don't take damage right here, which I didn't. So, when I collect the 8th kid, there are 2 areas to this level. You got the lower level, lower part which we're going through now, and the upper part which is kind of up on a mountain. In the lower part there are no respawn things that come up, so by abusing the fact that your automatic spawn is the intro area... Okay, this is not good. I gotta be careful. Ooh, okay. I got it. That was really risky, just because of the damage I took. But we got it. So, if I died there, it would have wasted about 30 seconds. Because I would have had to run over there, grab the kid, and then death warp back. But anyways, this is the final race we do in the game. This wombat likes to defy the laws of physics by snowboarding on flat ground without pushing himself forward. He keeps his forward momentum somehow, but that's besides the point. This is also a good time to kind of bring up ice physics. So there are 2 levels in this game that have ice physics, Snow Worries and this one. And the way they work is they're not automatically set in place. The moment I touch the first patch of ice in a level, it will load them for the level. So you saw me lose all my forward momentum when jumping on that patch of ice. That was the game loading in the ice physics. So for every other ice patch I touch in the rest of this level, it will not stop my forward momentum. So don't have to worry about that anymore. Yeah, if you guys could, it would be great if you hit the remaining $22 for the donation incentive. It's a great donation incentive, so I'd like to see it. Anyways, $122.98, okay, that's not bad. This is also the only level where when we do a race, we don't immediately exit it. We are going to continue to the upper part of the level, which is right up here. Going to be doing a little something called log jumping, which saves about 10 seconds, 5 to 10 seconds. Just going to jump on here, jump up here and ledge grab, and just do that. Also, you saw me jump at the end of the log there. That was to make sure the camera doesn't turn itself around. If I didn't jump off the log, it would turn the camera completely around, and if I didn't remember to move backwards instead of forwards, I would have walked off the side of the mountain and had to climb my way back up. So now we're just gonna kind of finish things up. Also, you saw me collect all those kids again, and I forgot to mention this, all those kids again. Those are the same kids that was lost by the same person in Snow Worries, so she lost the kids twice. That's okay, I guess. Things will work out in her favor eventually, in future games, I think. I haven't played them much. But not only did she lose them for a second time, one of them also decided to get his way up to here, and we have to chase him around in a game of tag, almost. So hopefully, I'm going to freeze those guys. Okay, good, it worked. I'm going to freeze those guys so they don't snowball me, which will stun me. and then I'm going to run over to one of them, and I'll be able to catch the kid in really quick fashion. Jump down here, grab the Thunder Egg, and exit level. So now we enter the longest and most frustrating level of the game besides Outback Safari. This is the most frustrating level for newcomers to the game because it contains two of the hardest skips and one of the most frustrating portions of RNG in the game, in Thrill Boats. So I'll kind of explain the skips as we get to them. The first one, which we're going to be doing in a second here, is the Bilby skip. There's a Bilby on top of a pillar, but by abusing the mechanics of creating an ice platform with the Frosty Ring and being able to melt it with the Flamer Ring, we can use the hitbox of that ice platform to jump higher than we should. And then, by using Ty's auto lock onto an object, we can bite up to it, and by positioning ourselves on a certain area of this pillar, it just sends us flying up, and we get the Bilby without having to do all the stuff required for it. That should have worked, but it didn't. That's fine. We'll just try it again. There we go. Now we are approaching Thrill Boats, which, looking at it right now, it looks decent, but not great. I'll have to make it work, though. You can destroy the Thrill Boats in one of two ways. They can either A, run into a platform, or B, you can throw Flamering at them and explode the barrels that they have. Either way, they get destroyed, and once we destroy all three of them, we get the Thunder Egg. That was decently fast, given the start I had. So now we get a little bit of breather before the final major skip of this level, which is the Volcano skip. The volcano in this level, you're supposed to go through it, and just run around 4 or 5 minutes, get to the end, glide down some platforms, and get a Thunder Egg. However, the final platform where the Thunder Egg is on it, it's kind of low to the ground in such a way that there's a small area that we can ledge grab onto it, and by doing an extended glide up to it, we can ledge grab and skip the entirety of the mountain, which you kind of see the peak of right there, to the right. Hopefully we get this relatively quick, but we'll have to see. Setting this up for newcomers is hard because it's hard to convey how you do the skip. Luckily we got it first try, so I'm happy with that. So now the rest of this level is really simple except for going across the floating platforms, which can be a pain for casual because of the fact that extended glides actually really help for this, even though they weren't necessarily intended. They're really far apart, so extended gliding really makes it a lot easier. And that's why. I nearly missed it even with an extended glide, but it worked in the end. So that's basically all the difficult stuff of the level. Now it's just running through it and collecting all the stuff that we need to get, which are the rest of the treasure chests, which is the story mission of the level, and the last two buildings. Actually, sorry, last 3. Wait, 2 or 3? I can't remember. Let me think. 1, 2... No, 2. I forgot the first one for a second. Because that's a treasure chest, and then 3 more treasure chests and 2 more buildings. Yeah, I've run this game so much, I believe I have, on my current splits, before I had to... which was after I had to reset my computer once. I have a little over 1,000 attempts. Before that I had over 1,000 attempts as well, so I'm going to guess I have around 2,500 attempts in this game. Most of them are lost anywhere in the first hub, specifically 2 up, which is the tutorial level, or the 3rd hub, anywhere in here. Most likely Liar Skip, though. But, yeah. This is also the only underwater chest. It's at this nice little shipwreck, which is kind of interesting. Hello? There we go. Also, we're gonna see the second time we use the what do you call them? I forget what you call these mushroom teleporter thingies. They tend to flying, which you'll kind of see right here. Right, so final stretch of the level, and then we go to my least favorite boss of the game, which is Fluffy in Fluffy Fjord, and I'll explain why once we get there. You did it! Okay. This is Fluffy's Fjord. Fluffy is not the giant robot, it's the lizard piloting the robot. There are 3 phases. First, I gotta burn all the fur off of the robot. Then I have to hit the robot several times in its metallic phase. And then I just gotta use the frosty rank to freeze it at the end.
Then ice.
I'll be honest, it took me... I'm gonna say 5 to 7 years to figure out how to beat the second phase of this boss. And I eventually had to look up a guide on how to do it, because I was completely lost when originally playing the game. Also, this is really unfortunate so far. Just the fact that all this is happening. It's fine though. So now we enter the second phase. Just gotta throw the flamerang through the little fire things. And the reason this took me so long to figure it out is because I thought the exploding boomerangs, which you get after collecting a lot of the golden cogs, the exploding boomerangs would do it, but no. The exploding boomerangs don't destroy it, the throwing it through a little thing does. So this is the final phase, just gotta hit it several times in the head with the frosty rings. Like that. So with that, we go to the final hub. And we get the final techno rings, or sorry, elemental rings. Which, if we could skip the entirety of that hub and get over this gate, it would be perfect. Because we only need the Zappy Rings for one thing and one thing only, and that is to open the gate. That is the only thing we use the Zappy Rings for in the game. They're completely useless otherwise. I've been kind of working on a way to get past it, but I haven't found anything. The PC version is actually really useful because of a certain feature it added that makes it a lot easier to look for gaps in the invisible barriers. So yeah, this is the final hub. We're gonna skip most of this level by doing cast pass skip, which is basically right up here. Let's see if I can get it relatively quickly. Okay, that's fine. I wasn't expecting it first try anyways. Okay, that... okay. This is getting frustrating. Alright, 3rd try. I will take 3rd try. That is better than 10 attempts. So basically what I did there, that tree has a small little hitbox that you can stand on. So I try my best to stand on it, and then jump through the gap in the mountain that allows me to get to the end of the level, and then I just swim through the water. So now with that, we're approaching the, what's going to be the final mini-boss of the game, in Shadow, which has, it's a simple boss, but it can be really unforgiving if you're not careful. I'm going to keep my Frosty Rings out for this as well, up until the final boss, because the first phase of the final boss also uses the Frosty Rings, and it's just really useful with all the enemies in this level. see if I can get... Okay, I got it. You have about a second to a second and a half to quickly zoom in and hit that button. Otherwise, those bats that she has surrounding her are going to fly their way to you and start stunning you until they damage you. So, basically, you want to get it either real fast, or you're going to have to wait a few seconds for them to damage you, and then you can do it. And then, this button isn't any less forgiving. There's a small little glitch with the several attack functions Shadow has here. If she goes into one of her attack functions, her invincibility frames will activate, even though she lands on the geyser, which is supposed to damage her, and she'll fly right out of the geyser and go after you until she damages you. Luckily, that didn't happen. It's very rare, but really frustrating if it does happen. And the same can also happen here, however, it's only happened to me once, and instead of going after you until she damages you, she goes after you until she kills you. So you're going to want to be... It's really unlucky to get it here, however, I've only got it once. I've only had it happen to me once in a little over 2 years I've been running this game. So I'm just going to wait for until now about, and then as long as she takes the damage from that geyser, I will be at the end of the level once she takes her final little bit of damage, and we'll be able to go to the final battle immediately. Alright, so now we're on to the final battle, which is relatively simple. 3 phases. First, you gotta use the Frosty Rings, freeze all of these flamethrowers, and fight them to destroy them. Now with that done, we go to the second phase, with the Flamerings. There's a bunch of these wires, which I have to use the Flamerings to destroy. And now with that, we go to the final portion, which is right here. We go into here, and we guide this Doomerang, is what it's called, through the final sections of this game. So, with this being the final minute and a half of the game, I want to go ahead and give a few thanks to some people, specifically, well, not really some people, just to everyone who's organizing this marathon. I know I didn't have necessarily the best speedrun at Summer Games on Quick 2016, and I got it kind of, I came almost like an outcast from the speedrunning community, but it's really great to be able to be here and do something for someone who I consider a friend in Konosumi, with him, meeting him at SGDQ and being able to do all this. So again, thank you so much for allowing me to do this after everything that's happened, but everyone, with the marathon almost ending, I highly recommend you donating. I personally can't because I'm a poor college student, but Konosumi's a great guy. He deserves to be able to go to Californiathon, so I really want to see him be able to go. Anyways, time's going to be coming up in a few seconds here. I'll go ahead and say when time is. Time's going to be once we reach this boomerang loading screen right up here. And time. I'll just kind of sit here until I get confirmation on the official timing.
Bonza!
The talismans are back where they belong. Order is restored
50...
and chaos has been
that's world record.
The Tasmanian tiger.
I'm just gonna be blatantly honest, that's world record right now. It's not my PB. My PB is a 58.07, but that's officially world record. That... I'm in shock. I did not expect that to actually happen. Wow! That is awesome.